Hi, today I want to tell you a bit about the VAT reverse charge for construction, or to give it its full title, the CIS VAT Domestic Reverse Charge Measure. The CIS VAT Domestic Reverse Charge Measure will apply to supplies of construction work from the 1st of March 2021. The measure was due to commence in October 2019 and has been delayed twice due to Brexit and the coronavirus. So what are their proposals? When the reverse charge applies, the customer accounts for the supplier's output VAT. This measure only applies to construction supplies made by a business to a business, so B2B. You need to apply the reverse charge when all of the following conditions are met. The supply for VAT consists of construction services and materials. It is made at a standard or reduced rate of VAT. It's between a UK VAT registered supplier and a UK VAT registered customer. Both supplier and customer are registered for CIS. The customer intends to make an ongoing supply of construction services to another party, and the supplier and customer are not connected. The CIS reverse charge does not apply to any of the following supplies: supplies of VAT exempt building and construction services, supplies that are not covered by the CIS unless linked to such a supply, supplies of staff or workers. The CIS reverse charge does not apply to taxable supplies made to the following customers: a non-VAT registered customer, end users, i.e. a VAT registered customer who is not intending to make further ongoing supplies of construction, intermediary supplies who are connected, for example a landlord and his tenant or two companies in the same group. The aim of the measure is to reduce VAT fraud in the construction sector. It will require a significant change of approach in many CIS businesses. Staff will need to be trained to identify relevant CIS contracts and end users. Accounting and bookkeeping systems will need to be modified to cope with new invoicing and reporting obligations. The use of VAT flat rate scheme and cash accounting may not be possible. Cash flow will be affected, and those at the start of the supply chain may become VAT repayment claimants. They need to consider whether to file monthly returns. It may require a business that is the recipient of the supply to register for VAT. So let's look at an example. John the roofer, who is VAT registered, supplies the materials and roofs a new office building for Mr. Contractor, who is also VAT registered, and who in turn supplies its construction services to Ms. Developer, also VAT registered. Ms. Developer finds and develops land and will in this case bring the build to completion and supply a finished commercial building to end user, its client. So under the current rules, John the roofer would invoice Mr. Contractor £120,000, comprising of his £100,000 bill for materials, labour and works, plus £20,000 in VAT at 20%. However, from March 2021, under the new CIS reverse charge mechanism, he invoices £100,000. His invoice states that the CIS reverse charge applies and that the applicable rate of VAT is 20%. So on Mr. Contractor's VAT return, he pays John the net £100,000 fee and then accounts for output and input VAT of £20,000 on the supply on its own VAT return. So you can see that there's net no VAT due to HMRC. John does not account for output VAT on his accounting system, as he has invoiced only his fee of £100,000. As a consequence of the reverse charge procedure, John charges and receives £20,000 less than under the old system, where he would charge £100,000 plus VAT. He does not have to account to HMRC for any output VAT on the transaction. When he is paid, he includes the value of the sale in box 6 of his VAT return. He does not add VAT to box 1 as he receives no output VAT. The change may well impact John's cash flow, as under the old rules, if Mr. Contractor was a prompt payer, he could hope that he could raise £20,000 in VAT as working capital to purchase materials, etc. Mr. Contractor has a cash flow advantage. It does not have to pay John £20,000, and then at the end of its VAT quarter it cannot reclaim £20,000 as it is accounting for the reverse charge, and the output VAT offsets the input VAT. As Mr. Contractor is supplying CIS services, it must also consider the reverse charge. Will its client, Ms. Developer, be involved in the onward supply of CIS services? In this case, this may be difficult to determine, as apparently Ms. Developer is selling a finished building to end user as an investor, and the reverse charge does not apply. It is Ms. Developer's responsibility to notify down the supply chain. So, what do you need to do? For contracts starting after the 1st of March 2021, you should decide whether the reverse charge applies from the start of the contract. Cash accounting cannot be used for CIS reverse charge. Businesses will need to review their systems. If a business is likely to become a VAT repayable business, it will be beneficial for it to move to monthly VAT returns. In terms of VAT payment, where both the supplier and the recipient are VAT registered or should be VAT registered, the recipient is liable to account for and pay the VAT to HMRC on behalf of the supplier. The supplier will not make a VAT payment on those supplies. For invoicing, when supplying a service subject to the CIS reverse charge, suppliers must show all the information that is normally required on a VAT invoice, except that a note on the invoice must make clear that the CIS reverse charge applies and that the customer is required to account for the VAT. No VAT is charged on the invoice. It should state how much VAT is due under the reverse charge or the rate of VAT if the VAT amount cannot be shown. But that VAT should not be included in the amount charged to the customer. Under the VAT Regulation 1995, invoices for the services subject to the reverse charge where the customer is liable for the VAT must include the reference reverse charge, and here are some examples of wording that meet the legal requirement. So this has been a whistle-stop tour of the new rules, and we're confidently laying on a seminar, a live in-person seminar in January featuring Jane Deeks, where there will be a deeper dive into this subject, so please do get in touch to reserve your place. Here are our details again for getting in touch. Thank you.